the Great Northwoods to the Rockmount Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, Republican lawmakers are criticizing Governor Janet Mills' response surrounding MaineCare. We'll take a look at their press conference coming up. Plus, Business Day was hosted at the State House, an event where lawmakers showcase Maine's business sector. And an elementary school in Waldo County may be closing its doors due to low enrollment rates. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. The temperatures are definitely going to dip back down today and we'll have a chance of rain. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Devin Biggs joins us now.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. For fast, beautiful countertops, trust Stone Artisans, your main stone supplier, 249-3040. Alrighty, here we go. We have advisories posted. We have a winter weather advisory in a purple that will last until later on today or this evening at around 11 p.m. Winter storm warnings until Thursday at around 2 a.m. And we also have some advisories along the coast. Gale watches until Thursday at around noon, and also some small craft advisories or so that are also posted. Meanwhile, as we do move forward, we're watching precipitation moving in from the southwest and going toward the north and east. So we are going to be watching for this wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow that will be moving in later on today. Doesn't look like a whole lot just yet, but we are seeing it moving from the west and going toward the east. Even some lightning with this too, so a lot of energy with the system that will be moving in our direction, really getting going later on today. A lot of ice with this system further off towards the north before it transitions over to rain with warmer air that will be on the way very soon. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of clouds and the precipitation gets going this afternoon with temperatures warming into the 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, an Augusta man will spend 4 years in prison for killing a man in Cushing back in 2024. 41-year-old Jason Hewitt pleaded guilty on March 2nd to manslaughter in the death of 45-year-old Kyle McDougal back in 2024. Police say Hewitt went to the home in Cushing to buy drugs. They say a dispute escalated and Hewitt shot McDougal. Hewitt pleaded guilty under a plea agreement reached with the Attorney General's office just before his trial was set to get underway. At his sentencing on Tuesday morning, Hewitt told McDougal's family he was sorry for their loss and pain. He also said he knew they wanted answers about what happened the day of the shooting. Hewitt said he did not call 911 because he was scared.
I'm there with a criminal record. Anytime that happens, Jason Gouch is there. Record, he must be guilty of it. And I feared exactly this right here, that I would call 911 and I would be sitting before a court pleading for my life. For that, I'm sorry.
The judge sentenced Hewitt to 14 years in prison with all but 4 years suspended and 4 years of probation. Meanwhile, Bangor police are investigating the death of an infant. Details are very few right now, but Sergeant Jeremy Brock says officers responded to a residence on Grove Street on March 7th. He says the Bangor Police Department's Criminal Investigation Division will be working with the medical examiner's office to investigate the 7-month-old child's death. We will bring you more information as that becomes available. And in other news, an investigation into alleged drug trafficking in Searsport has landed 5 people in jail. Maine Drug Enforcement Commander Lowell Woodman says their agents, the Waldo County Sheriff's Office and Searsport Police, have been conducting an investigation over the past several months. He says that investigation included several undercover purchases of both cocaine base and methamphetamine from 2 residences. Warrants were executed at 22 Homestead Lane and 119 Loop Road early on Tuesday morning. Agents found more than $4,300 in suspected drug proceeds, 70 grams of methamphetamine, 24 grams of cocaine, and 2 guns at 119 Loop Road, and officers found 28 firearms and 29 grams of methamphetamine at 22 Homestead Lane. 47-year-old Melissa Dyer and 65-year-old David Hersom, both of Searsport, are charged with unlawful drug trafficking. 42-year-old Holly Jo Ward of Searsport, 20-year-old Yandrel Mateo Nunez of Lawrence, Massachusetts, and 22-year-old Nelkis Alexander Villona Perez, also of Lawrence, Massachusetts, are charged with aggravated drug trafficking. Maine Secretary of State has joined those from 8 other states to get confirmation that ICE agents won't be deployed to polling locations during the 2026 election cycle. On March 3rd, former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem appeared before the Senate Judiciary Committee and said, quote, "There are no plans to have ICE officers at our polling locations," end quote. The Secretaries of State have written a letter to Secretary of Homeland Security nominee Markwayne Mullin seeking that confirmation. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bello says, quote, "that we even have to ask for written assurances that the federal government won't deploy armed agents to the polls is a sad and frightening sign of the times we're in," end quote. As lawmakers inch closer to adopting Maine's first statewide data privacy law, business groups are continuing to voice strong opposition. Dozens of employers gathered at the State House yesterday for Business Day, an event designed to encourage conversations with lawmakers and showcase Maine's business sector. Organizers also used the event to raise concerns about LD 1822, which, if enacted, would create some of the strongest consumer data privacy protections in the country. Opponents are concerned it will hinder small business marketing and make it harder for them to compete with large out-of-state corporations.
The big brands, they can use television ads. We don't have that available to these small businesses. They need targeted advertising, and it works. We need to preserve these digital tools to the Maine business economy.
Democratic sponsor Representative Amy Kuhn of Falmouth said there are safeguards in place to limit any impact on Maine businesses, noting that the bill expressly permits targeted advertising. Supporters say the bill would give Mainers more control over how their personal data is used online amidst the widespread adoption of AI technology.
A lot of Mainers are really concerned about AI. I just saw a poll yesterday that 66% of Mainers are more concerned than they are hopeful. And it's up to the legislature really to address that and try to provide meaningful protections.
The bill already passed in the House, and an amended version narrowly passed in the Senate last week. The bill will now return to the House floor, where representatives must decide whether to approve that legislation. Republican lawmakers are criticizing Governor Janet Mills' response to federal inquiries surrounding MaineCare, the state's Medicare program, while offering new legislation that aims to address MaineCare integrity. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
The federal government is coming after fraud, period.
Republican leaders blasted Governor Janet Mills' response to MaineCare federal inquiries, accusing the governor of prioritizing political attacks over accountability.
So I thought the whole tone of her response was very insulting and very inadequate, and not the way that Mainers want their state to interact and deal with the federal government.
Last Friday, Governor Mills formally submitted a more than 40-page response to federal authorities, addressing concerns over MaineCare's management after a federal audit found millions in alleged improper payments.
Maine will not be intimidated by the threats of a president who's using allegations of fraud as a pretext to hurt people.
The governor outlined efforts by the state in recent years to increase oversight of Medicaid providers. However, Republican lawmakers argued the response was inadequate and offered little proof of concrete corrective measures.
It doesn't acknowledge the systemic weakness that were revealed in the program integrity audits.
Governor Mills says she has not received an update from the U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, though she does anticipate retaliation regardless of their findings. She offered a brief response to the criticism from Republicans.
Inadequate. Okay, well, that's their view.
Senate Minority Leader Trey Stewart has proposed legislation that aims to address MaineCare integrity and sustainability concerns. However, he is not feeling optimistic about it receiving bipartisan support.
We still have other reforms that we need to make, or else risk jeopardizing even more federal money going forward. And so this bill is timely, this bill is necessary, and I am asking that our Democrat colleagues allow it to even just move forward for a hearing.
In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:09. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the Ellsworth School Department is looking to enact a cell phone ban in their schools. We'll have more on that ahead. But first, let's take another look at our forecast. For today, we have a bit of a wintry mix going on with temperatures in the low 40s. Overnight tonight, wintry mix to rain with highs around 36. And for tomorrow, rain and snow, highs around 58. We'll be right back.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At C&R Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the C&R promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with C&R Carpet Cleaning.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Our names were whispered through time, from generation to generation.
Don't you feel that there are things that cannot be explained?
God has a destiny for us. Surely nothing is impossible for God.
The Ellsworth School Department is the latest in a growing list of Maine school boards to enact a policy banning cell phones in schools. Our Callie Warren has the details.
It's no surprise that the nature of cell phones can be a little distracting. Callie? Especially in a classroom setting, which is why a lot of school districts in Maine are looking at doing away with them on school premises entirely, including the Ellsworth School Department.
This policy is required by the state of Maine that we have some sort of policy in place by the fall.
For the Ellsworth School Department, that new policy states that all students, from pre-K to seniors in high school, must have their phones put away from the first morning bell to afternoon dismissal. It passed Tuesday night, 5-1. The school department's current plan is to use high-strength magnetic pouches that students would receive and put their personal devices in. The pouches would be opened by strong magnets that only faculty would have access to. Superintendent Amy Bowles says it may take some getting used to for kids and teens who don't know a world without technology.
I mean, they don't understand or know what it's like to not have personal devices. Bringing students back to a focus on academic learning. Schools that have done a ban have seen lessened behavioral issues, including bullying.
The policy allows exemptions for students with medical needs that are managed by technology, diabetes being one example. Some students report frustration with the fact that they're not able to use their personal devices during lunchtime and breaks from the classroom.
You have face-to-face collaboration the other 5 or 6 hours in every other class. This is their break time that I feel it's sometimes hard to dictate how they collaborate with people.
Bowles says the policy will be reviewed at the end of the next school year, and any necessary adjustments will be made. Callie Warren reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Meanwhile, RSU 71 serves the towns of Belfast, Swanville, Searsmont, Belmont, and Morrill in Waldo County. At a school board meeting last night, members shared they are experiencing a decline in school-age children across the district, leading to discussions about potentially closing elementary schools. One of these is the Kermit Nickerson School in Swanville, which board members say sees very low enrollment numbers.
We get administrative reports every month from all of our schools. They list the student enrollment, and Nickerson School is always the outlier. It's the lowest by far of any of the schools.
A vote was held last night about closing the school. That vote failed due to a lack of a 2/3 majority. It's unknown at this time whether the vote will be taken up again in the future. We've reached out to the RSU 71 superintendent but have not heard back yet. The time now is 8:15. After the break, severe storms hit the middle of the country overnight with many tornado threats. We'll have more on that ahead. Plus, the Bangor City Council voted on organizations that will benefit from opioid settlement funds. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salad, sandwiches, and more. Plus, don't forget to save room for dessert. Dine in or take out at 16 Crockett Road in Dexter. Visit us today.
You provide it all. There's no challenge you can't take on, because you've already taken on everything. You've gone above and beyond. It feels like you've brought them together. It feels like your home is taken care of. It feels like you're all at the top of your game. And with Fidium Fiber Internet, you are.
It feels like Fidium.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Maine's rivers, our lakes, our life-giving wells. To ensure that our water supply remains clean and safe, Senator Susan Collins is leading the fight to protect this vital resource. She delivered millions to upgrade Maine's drinking water and wastewater infrastructure, keeping the quality of water as precious as Maine itself. So raise a glass and thank Senator Susan Collins for her leadership that goes beyond politics.
Lakeshore Restaurant in Dexter is open for the season, featuring a wide selection of seafood, lobster, salad, sandwiches, and more. Plus, don't forget to save room for dessert. Dine in or take out at 16 Crockett Road in Dexter. Visit us today.
The City of Brewer has repaid Northern Light Health more than $773,000 in taxes that a judge ruled were incorrectly assessed. That ruling was handed down in January, and the city has confirmed that the money has been repaid to the health system. The mistake occurred in how two of the system's buildings were assessed, and the judge ruled that the buildings should have been tax-exempt status but were assessed incorrectly. The city says that payment came from a separate account and it will not affect overall city finances there. Meanwhile, at a Monday night meeting, the Bangor City Council voted on and finalized the list of local organizations that will benefit from roughly $641,000 in opioid settlement funds awarded to the city. The list of recipients is based on the recommendations of the Opioid Settlement Funds Advisory Committee, which the council says met more than a dozen times to make decisions on which groups would receive those funds. They received 32 grant applications and narrowed down the final slate to 16 awards. On Monday night, the council voted 8-1 to accept the committee's final list for award recipients. But there were calls for increased transparency and oversight from multiple councilors.
It doesn't seem like, there's much of accountability and reporting, transparency back to us. And I think that that's our responsibility. So maybe moving forward, we could discuss what we expect for those types of measures when we give these grants out.
I would say that having a standing committee, chaired by one of their own, as well as appointed from members across all of these organizations who are on the front lines of this crisis, may be our best shot at trying to get some of that coordination that we're longing for.
The list of grant recipients includes Wellspring, Needle Point Sanctuary, the Bangor Y, and Bangor Public Health and Community Services. For a full list, we have a link to this story on our website at foxbangor.com. Meanwhile, from vitamins to minerals to protein that helps build muscle, the foods we eat can do a lot to help keep our bodies properly functioning. But how nutritious is your diet? Fox News' Kevin Uretsky takes a closer look at what registered dietitians are saying as the nation marks Nutrition Month all March long.
March is National Nutrition Month, a time the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics says is important for raising awareness about the benefits of a healthy diet. While registered dietitians like Dinah Dalder say a nutritious diet can look different across the country and even the world,
depending on what an individual likes to eat, what their cultural preferences are.
There's certain things you'll still want to make sure are on your menu,
including fruits and vegetables, dairy foods, protein, and grains. And how that combines and looks is really an individual preference.
Updated U.S. dietary guidelines by the Trump administration encourage people to eat fruits and vegetables throughout the day, prioritize protein, and incorporate healthy fats into their meals. This while limiting highly processed foods and items with added sugars.
We know consistently that people are not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and if you look at your plate, are there even fruits and vegetables there?
Data from the CDC reveals more than half the country gets more than half their daily calories from ultra-processed foods. Experts recommend analyzing the foods you regularly eat and cite how consuming the same things can create nutritional gaps.
If you want to think about what would be an unhealthy diet, that might be a diet that lacks variety. And then what are those foods that are eaten consistently? Are they really high in fat?
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
The time now is 8:22. Let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. For fast, beautiful countertops, trust Stone Artisans, your main stone supplier, 249-3040. Alrighty, here we go. Advisories posted. Winter weather advisories up until later on this evening at around 11 p.m. Winter storm warnings up until Thursday at around 2 a.m. And further down toward the south, we have some advisories also up along the coast. Some small craft advisories up through Thursday at 6 a.m. and gale watches also posted through Thursday at around noon. But in the meantime, wave heights at around 3 feet, so not bad as of yet. While farther out towards sea, still not bad at around 3 to 4 feet at this moment in time. Our focus now is on the system that's moving in from the west and going toward the east that will bring this wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. A lot of ice on the way with this system that will be tracking from the west and going toward the east. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw some thunder ice, I guess you could say, too, as it tracks off to the east. A lot of lightning with this system too that is tracking off towards the east, and we are going to be watching for energy that will be moving in throughout the day. Look at all this pink. That's ice concerns too, primarily further off towards the north throughout today and also into the evening. We'll see that pink push further off towards the north with warmer air that will be pushing in, especially in your Thursday. Some breaks as well, but notice by Thursday evening we'll get some colder air pushing in and things will begin to calm down and clear out too. So Friday will be much better. A lot of ice on the way too, up to a ½ inch of ice possible across the northern parts of the state. This will cause trees to go down. This will cause power outages. Make sure the northern parts of the state are prepared for this and maybe long-term power outages too. Notice not much of an ice concern further down toward the south, so that's good news there. A little bit of a snow possibility too, so snow not a big concern there. The big concern will be the ice. But for today, here's what we got. Low 40s, rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. East wind at around 20 miles per hour. By tonight, that wintry mix switching over to rain with lows in the mid-30s and then rising, and that south wind at around 15 miles per hour. Upper 50s tomorrow and then falling sharply with rain and snow, windy, and the winds turning out of the west at around 30 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. Partly cloudy for your Friday with highs in the low 40s. Low 40s again Saturday with a chance for rain and snow. Partly cloudy Sunday, highs in the low 40s.
After an accident, you need to protect your future.
Joe Bornstein got me more than I expected and faster than I thought possible. I call that success.
Call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Accidents happen to be their specialty.
The storm came through with 120-mile-an-hour winds through our neighborhood. My daughter had to evacuate to our house while we were out of town. Sure enough, power goes out. When the generator kicked back on, it, of course, powered the Spectrum modem. She didn't lose service, and we didn't lose connectivity with her through the entire storm. We both breathed a sigh of relief. To have her feel safe and us feel reassured that she was okay was priceless.
Real customers, real reliability. To get the most reliable internet, visit spectrum.com/stay connected.
Are you experiencing foot pain? Comfort Shoes and More has a team of experts trained in podorthics to help you find relief. They offer tailored fittings, shoe modifications, customized orthotics, and much more for the ordinary or the hard-to-fit foot. Discover the latest in functional and fashionable footwear for men and women from today's top brands: Hoka, Brooks, Keen, Merrell, and Ariat. From running to walking, casual or dress, they have it all. Take the drive to Newport for a sit-and fit to find your perfect fit. You and your feet will be glad you did.
When Maine winter bites, nothing matters more than keeping your family warm. The solution is simple: a high-efficiency heat pump installed by Valley Home Services. It's the quiet, reliable warmth you need all season long. At Valley Home, we're your elite Fujitsu dealer, ensuring expert installation that delivers consistent comfort and maximizes your energy savings. And we make it easy to switch to efficiency heating and qualify for those valuable Efficiency Maine rebates. Stay perfectly warm without the high cost. For a warm, worry-free winter, trust the local experts. Valley Home Services. Winter warmth is waiting. Call us today.
After an accident, you need to protect your future.
Joe Bornstein took over my case and didn't take any nonsense from the insurance companies. If you want the best, call Joe.
The law offices of Joe Bornstein. Accidents happen to be their specialty.
Now to the war in Iran and oil prices after the U.S. Energy Secretary took down a post on social media about protecting ships. The Pentagon says U.S. forces are stepping up attacks on Iranian ships to protect oil tankers. The move comes with gas prices here at home rising more than 40 cents in the last week. ABC's Marcus Moore has the latest.
This morning, new video from Central Command shows multiple strikes on Iranian Navy vessels. U.S. officials say 16 mine-laying vessels were destroyed near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has reportedly been planning to use mines to disrupt oil shipments. President Trump warning if for any reason mines were placed, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. The strikes on Iranian ships coming on what officials describe as the most intense day of the war so far.
The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes. Intelligence more refined and better than ever.
The U.S. and Israel hammering Iran, where local officials say more than 1,200 people have now been killed. The White House insists U.S. attacks are focusing on military targets. But Iran's Persian Gulf neighbors, from Saudi Arabia to Turkey, are still intercepting missiles and drones. And we're learning more about the drone strike that killed 6 U.S. troops at a base in Kuwait.
Kind of looked around and I saw everything was just smoke and fire and crazy and chaos.
Minnesota Army Sergeant First Class Corey Hicks describing to ABC affiliate KSTP the moment that drone came crashing in.
I remember turning my head to the left and I seen the nose of that drone pop through, and as soon as it did, I knew what it was. It was either a missile or a drone, so I turned to my right, and that's when it blew up and just blew the whole building apart.
He's one of the estimated 140 U.S. service members injured in this war so far.
Life is precious. Life is short. You never know when you're going to be put in a situation like we were in.
Back in Iran, another sign of defiance, a police official posting a chilling message to any potential protesters demanding regime change. The official saying that police will have their hand on the trigger. Marcus Moore, ABC News, Doha.
The suspect accused of throwing improvised explosives at New York City protesters appeared to have purchased fuses days before. Video shows 18-year-old Amir Ballot purchasing a 20-foot roll of consumer safety fuse from a Phantom's Fireworks in Pennsylvania. The purchase was made just 2 days after the U.S. and Israel launched its first airstrikes on Iran, according to that retailer. Ballot and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi allegedly threw the ignited explosives at an anti-Islam protest outside of the residence of Mayor Zohran Mamdani on Saturday. The protest, called Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City, drew about 20 participants. A counter-protest drew roughly 125. Police say both teenagers have been taken into custody and face 5 federal charges. The FBI says both defendants allegedly support the terrorist organization ISIS. Now to those violent storms in the middle of the country and the threat of more today. A long storm front spawning confirmed tornadoes from Texas to the Midwest yesterday, causing lots of damage. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Overnight, severe storms and dangerous tornadoes stretching from Texas to Michigan.
Everybody, get in, get downstairs.
In Kankakee County, Illinois, residents urged to take cover as a powerful twister moved through. The storm causing widespread damage. The roofs of these homes blown off, other buildings destroyed, debris scattered across roads. The impact stretching into neighboring Indiana.
There's several houses that have been hit, a lot of damage. Please do not come here.
Another concern, hail in some areas as big as softballs, pounding this lake in Kansas City. Also in the storm's path, southwest Michigan, still recovering after multiple deadly tornadoes slammed the region last Friday. The system is now moving east, expected to bring strong storms today from Louisiana all the way to New York. Meanwhile, in the west, a rare March heat wave is developing. Temperatures could approach 100 in Southern California.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
In other news this morning, multiple Disneyland employees are hospitalized on Tuesday after reporting dizziness and shortness of breath. The Anaheim Police Department says the symptoms were due to an unknown odor in the backstage area of the Tomorrowland Stars Tour attraction. At least 7 cast members were transported to local hospitals, while others were treated by paramedics on the scene. No park visitors have reported any issues thus far. Coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll hear from literacy volunteers of Bangor about an upcoming literacy tea event. Don't go away.
America's strength is human, but AI is being designed to replace us, threatening our jobs, our families, and our way of life. Tell your elected officials to support common sense regulation. Make sure AI works for us, not instead of us.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
Wow. Awesome. Cool.
Sweet. Nice. Hey! I like your dress.
You look pretty.
No, you look pretty.
No, you look pretty.
No, you.
Now, from the longest-lasting brand, you could get an affordable $179 a month lease on a fun Corolla gas sedan with a total contract cost of $11,264.
Go from dreaming it to driving it today.
Toyota. Let's go places.
AI is being designed to replace American workers. But in America, work is more than just a paycheck. It's pride and purpose. And when real jobs vanish, families and communities get left behind. We should have a say. Protect what's human.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
Sip and Stitch events are becoming increasingly popular here in Maine. You can find them at libraries, restaurants, and other community spaces, including the Phoenix Cafe in Bucksport. Our Jody Hersey takes us there.
Kelly Barrett of Orland always dreamed of owning her own restaurant.
Just a little cafe, not that many seats, something intimate and comfortable where people can come and be part of the community.
Barrett's dream came true in 2023 when she purchased Verona Wine and Bistro off Main Street in Bucksport and renamed it the Phoenix Cafe. She is not only the owner, but the chef who offers an a la carte menu.
If you want to have plantain fritters and a cup of soup and a Cuban sandwich, you can have all of those things all at once.
Barrett also hosts book fairs, winter markets, and sip and stitch events at her restaurant.
I'm new to Maine just in this last year. I work over in Ellsworth, and I always saw that this was going on, kind of on and off in the events, and so I'm glad I was able to make it today, and I just wanted to kind of get out in the community and meet other people.
These ladies say knitting circles have been around for centuries.
There's centuries of tends to be women getting together and, exchanging patterns, stitches, sharing knowledge.
Residents say having a place to gather with like-minded crafters is essential for small Maine communities.
And we all have that common need to talk and to be together. That's the thing, everybody's very supportive about each other's work.
Women supporting women in both business and in life. In Bucksport, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. For fast, beautiful countertops, trust Stone Artisans, your main stone supplier, 2493040. Alrighty, here we go. We have advisories posted. We have a winter weather advisory in a purple that will last until later on today or this evening at around 11 p.m. Winter storm warnings until Thursday at around 2 a.m. And we also have some advisories along the coast. Gale watches until Thursday at around noon, and also some small craft advisories or so that are also posted. Meanwhile, as we do move forward, we're watching precipitation moving in from the southwest and going toward the north and east. So we are going to be watching for this wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow that will be moving in later on today. Doesn't look like a whole lot just yet, but we are seeing it moving from the west and going toward the east. Even some lightning with this too, so a lot of energy with the system that will be moving in our direction, really getting going later on today. A lot of ice with the system further off towards the north before it transitions over to rain with warmer air that will be on the way very soon. The hourly forecast moving forward, lots of clouds and the precipitation gets going this afternoon with temperatures warming into the 40s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Janessa?
Thank you, Devin. Well, kindness was definitely the guide for one high school English teacher who challenged each of her students to put a little love in your heart. As we highlight inspiring women during Women's History Month, we're shining the spotlight once again on a teacher who started a movement that was all about the $20 bill. Here's ABC's Danny New.
What did you do when I gave you the $20?
You may recall our story last year with English teacher Christina Ulmer and her tradition called the $20 Kindness Challenge.
Usually the first week or so, they'll say, are we doing your kindness thing?
Christina has become famous around Horsham, Pennsylvania for, twice a year, giving all of her high school students a crisp $20 bill with a simple assignment. Do something kind with it.
I donated toys to Glad Dogs Nation.
Over the years, students have used that money to bake cookies for nursing homes or pass out flowers to strangers. Whatever they choose, each act also honors Christina's sister, Kate, who tragically passed away in a car accident in 2014. Christina used the cash from Kate's purse to fund the first challenge a few years later.
Like I can just see her there doing the things that my students are doing. So it does make me think about her a lot more.
And now we have an update on that mission to honor Kate and spread her generous spirit.
Oh, after the piece aired, then the donations went up like crazy.
After our story aired, Christina says donations skyrocketed, and she started receiving letters from around the country with gifts or just notes of appreciation. In fact, a few months ago, Christina officially got the $20 Kindness Challenge registered as a nonprofit, which apparently...
Do you know that was your idea?
That was my idea?
You're the first person who were like, maybe you could help other teachers. So I was like, maybe I could. That's actually an interesting idea.
Now with the challenges, increased influence, and resources,
So grateful to have Christina's challenge.
Christina has inspired teachers in other states to try this with their students, like Amy in Delaware.
Christina, I cannot thank you enough.
And this coming April, for the first time, Christina will be funding another class. Fittingly, it'll be with Siri in New Jersey, who was Christina's typing teacher in middle school.
That feels pretty amazing to be able to give back to her.
There are also resources on the foundation's website to help people with starting their own $20 kindness challenge. And Christina says she has personally guided both schools and churches across the country throughout the past year. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports, and we'll hear from literacy volunteers of Bangor. Don't go away.
See that brand new Hyundai Santa Fe?
Yeah.
I only paid.
Finish this bucket on your own.
Enjoy your new car.
The
Hyundai
Getaway Sales Event.
Lease an all-wheel drive Hyundai Palisade SE for $319 a month, or get 3.99% APR for 60 months. Hurry in.
Even if you have moderate to severe eczema, you can feel the rhythm, feel the flow, and Dupixent helps you feel the heal. It helps calm a key source of inflammation under the skin that can cause eczema. Some adults saw fast itch relief after the first dose, and long-lasting clear skin at 1 year. Many even saw 90% clear skin. Severe allergic reactions, including skin reactions, can occur. Get help right away for face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, wheezing, or trouble breathing. Tell your doctor of new or worsening eye problems like eye pain or vision changes, skin symptoms, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop other treatments without talking to your doctor. Stay ahead of eczema and help heal your skin from within. Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent today.
At the Challenger Learning Center of Maine, our mission to inspire Maine students has never been stronger. Our newly renovated facility is open and ready to launch. We have upgraded simulator rooms, refreshed learning spaces, and new hands-on STEM experiences. Check out our exciting upcoming events for students, educators, and families. There's always something happening at Challenger. Ready for liftoff? Explore what's new and what's next at the Challenger Learning Center of Maine. Visit astronaut.org for details.
See the brand new Hyundai Tucson out there?
Yeah.
I only paid...
Enjoy your new car.
Yeah, you too. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Lease an all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE for $209 a month, or get 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
Your goal is to put items in the correct order before,
In between.
definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back in, folks. Tuesday was just an absolutely gorgeous day, and the sun was shining bright on the Maine women's basketball team as they punched their ticket to the America East Final. The Black Bears beat #3 Binghamton 60-56 in front of a sold-out Memorial Gymnasium on Monday night. That win secured them a spot in the conference championship game against the top-seeded Vermont Catamounts, who beat UMBC in 2 overtimes. America East Player of the Year Adriana Smith led the way for Maine, scoring 26 points, paired with 12 rebounds, while senior Sarah Talon added 17 points of her own. However, the Black Bears had a rare, poor three-point shooting night. They went 4 for 20 from beyond the arc, but they found a way to win, and that's a scary sight for opponents.
You got to take what they give you, right? And we did. I think our defense was really good too. Like I said last game, that's how you win a championship. So.
And I also think that's how we go by. You know, we find a way. On both sides of the ball, find a way. If one thing's not working, we're going to find something else, and we're going to find a way, because that's just how hardworking this team is.
That game in Burlington tips off at 5 p.m. on Friday night. The winner punches their ticket to the big dance. These two met in the championship game just 2 years ago in Orono, where Maine won the title. The Maine men's hockey team will begin Hockey East tournament play this weekend when they head south to take on the Boston College Eagles in the quarterfinals. The Black Bears faced the Eagles twice earlier this season, dropping the first game 7-3 before following it up the next night with a 3-0 win. Maine has been in this position before, but head coach Ben Barr says the team has a much different look from last year, and it'll be up to the veterans to get the guys going on Friday night.
You know, half of these guys, this is their first time ever playing in a playoff game, so
we're going to rely on the veterans to be really good, obviously, and get us off to a good start in the game. I think that's going to be key, and then hopefully these younger guys can get up to speed pretty quick.
The Bates women's basketball team has danced their way to the NCAA Division III Sweet 16. The Bobcats are racing an 18-point deficit Friday night to stun Smith in overtime, 74-70 with the win. The Bobcats improving to a program best 26-3 record and are still flying high over Saturday night's amazing comeback win.
We saw this as an opportunity not only to keep our season alive, but to beat a really established team and prove ourselves at a national level. And so we really executed on that, and it was a lot of fun.
We know how hard we've worked for this all season, and just to see it paying off is really awesome. And we're very confident going into Scranton, and that's what our mindset should be.
It was a busy weekend of free agency and trades in the NFL, and the Patriots have made some big moves of their own to help bolster that roster. One of the biggest signings for New England came on Tuesday with the acquisition of wide receiver Romeo Doubs. Doubs put up nearly 800 yards last season in Green Bay and will likely have a big role in the Pats' offensive scheme next year. New England also acquired Ravens defensive end Draymond Jones. Jones spent time with both Tennessee and Baltimore last season, put up a career-high 7 sacks in 2025. Offensive line help is coming in the form of Elijah Vera Tucker, who missed the entire 2025 season with the Jets due to a torn tricep. The Pats' underrated signing of the weekend was fullback Reggie Gilliam. Gilliam wasn't a huge contributor with the ball in his hands for Buffalo, but what he provides in the run-blocking game makes up for his lack of carries. Some key departures so far include defensive tackle Kyrus Tonga, tight end Austin Hooper, and offensive lineman Bordarian Lowe. Sticking in the NFL now, and on the topic of the offseason, major news breaking just a few hours ago on Tuesday night. The Baltimore Ravens have backed out of the trade agreement with the Las Vegas Raiders for superstar edge Max Crosby. The Raiders and Ravens had initially agreed to send Crosby for a 2026 and 2027 first-round pick. Reports have come out that Crosby failed his physical, which is the cause of calling the trade off. Trades and signings are not made official until Wednesday at 4 p.m. It'll be interesting to see how the Raiders navigate having Crosby back on the books. Rounding out the free agency news, Maine football alum Pat Ricard signed a new deal with the New York Giants. He spent the first 9 seasons of his career with the Baltimore Ravens. Ricard is a 3-time Pro Bowler. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
A sharp pain in his chest. He knew it was his heart, but 2 hours from the big city hospital could tragically mean the end. But it wasn't. Thanks to Senator Susan Collins' tireless fight for Maine's rural hospitals. Because of Senator Collins' work, his local hospital had recently received up-to-date diagnostic equipment and upgraded facilities, all paid for with new federal funding. Lives are being saved. Call and thank our Senator Susan Collins for delivering this lifeline for Maine.
$1 million every year for the rest of my life, and maybe yours too.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At C&R Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the C&R promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with C&R Carpet Cleaning.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brew.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're joined by Mary Marin-Taylor, who is the Executive Director of Literacy Volunteers of Bangor. Mary, thanks so much for coming in today.
It's always nice to see you. Thank you.
Yes, so you guys have a special event, your annual biggest fundraiser coming up here very soon. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. It's the Marvin and Sherry Glacier Literacy Tea. This is our 11th tea that we have, and it's really a family-friendly event that is available for everybody.
Okay.
So you don't need a child to enter the doors.
Right, right, because you said something about, you know, children's books and it kind of being, the decorations are around children's theme, but anyone can come.
Anyone can come. So we have about 35 decorated tables where our guests will sit at, and each table is decorated around a different children's book.
Okay, gotcha. And what are you excited for about this event?
Well, there's a couple of things. We have Casey Robinson, who's a Glenburn native, and she's written an award-winning book called Small Things Mended. So she's coming home from Boston back to our area, and she's going to be sharing her book with everybody. And when you read it, it's just beautifully illustrated, and it's just such an important message about community and taking care of each other and mending the small things, which are often the big things, you know, in terms of taking care of each other.
Yeah, that could be very inspirational for kids to hear, but adults as well.
Absolutely.
And you guys too are seeking more volunteers and students to come join you guys.
Absolutely. So as an organization, we're always looking for volunteers, kind of like our name would suggest. So right now we have, in next coming weeks, we have our tutor training starting.
Okay.
And so anybody interested in volunteering for that should call our office or go online. But we're also seeking students.
Right.
And so if you're an adult or know of an adult who is having a challenge like being able to comprehend what they're reading, or maybe needing to write at a higher level for work or anything, or if you're not able to understand English because it's not your first language, those are all good reasons to come forward, and we will honor the courage it takes to ask for help.
Oh yes, absolutely, because you said you do stuff with kids too, but it's mainly adults that you focus on and teach, right?
Yeah, it's a solely an adult mission.
Yeah.
When there's children in the family, we're really excited because then the whole family gets to benefit from that mom or dad improving their literacy.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and it's always a good thing to reach out for help with that stuff, and like you said, have the courage to seek those opportunities. So
absolutely.
For this event, for people who either want more information or want to look you guys up, where can they find you on social media or website?
Both. I would say that our website is lvbangor.org, and it's easy to find more about the tea right from there.
Okay.
I would just remind people that this is an event that is advance tickets only.
Okay.
So you're unable to just show up on that Sunday, which is Sunday, March 29th from 3 to 5. We will be at a new location. We're at the Old Town Elementary School this year.
Okay.
We really encourage you to call the office or to go on our website for more information about our ticket sales.
Okay, and yeah, you said you can buy the tickets online too.
That is correct.
Okay, so make sure if you want to go to this event, make sure to buy the tickets in advance and reach out to Mary. Thanks so much for joining us today.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Always love to have you in.
Thank you.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. For fast, beautiful countertops, trust Stone Artisans, your main stone supplier, 249-3040. Alrighty, here we go. Advisories posted. Winter weather advisories up until later on this evening at around 11 p.m. Winter storm warnings up until Thursday at around 2 a.m. And further down toward the south, we have some advisories also up along the coast. Some small craft advisories up through Thursday at 6 a.m. and gale watch is also posted through Thursday at around noon. But in the meantime, wave heights at around 3 feet, so not bad as of yet. While farther out towards sea, still not bad at around 3 to 4 feet at this moment in time. Our focus now is on the system that's moving in from the west and going toward the east that will bring this wintry mix of rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. A lot of ice on the way with this system that we'll be tracking from the west and going toward the east. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw some thunder ice, I guess you could say, too, as it tracks off to the east. A lot of lightning with this system system too that is tracking off towards the east, and we are going to be watching for energy that will be moving in throughout the day. Look at all this pink. That's ice concerns too, primarily further off towards the north throughout today and also into the evening. We'll see that pink push further off towards the north with warmer air that will be pushing in, especially in near Thursday. Some breaks as well, but notice by Thursday evening we'll get some colder air pushing in and things will begin to calm down and clear out too. So Friday will be much better. A lot of ice on the way too, up to a ½ inch of ice possible across the northern parts of the state. This will cause trees to go down. This will cause power outages. Make sure the northern parts of the state are prepared for this and maybe long-term power outages too. Notice not much of an ice concern further down toward the south, so that's good news there. A little bit of a snow possibility too, so snow not a big concern there. The big concern will be the ice. But for today, here's what we got. Low 40s, rain, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. East wind at around 20 miles per hour. By tonight, that wintry mix switching over to rain with lows in the mid-30s and then rising, and that south wind at around 15 miles per hour. Upper 50s tomorrow and then falling sharply with rain and snow, windy, and the winds turning out of the west at around 30 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast brought to you by Stone Artisans. Partly cloudy for your Friday with highs in the low 40s. Low 40s again Saturday with a chance for rain and snow. Partly cloudy Sunday, highs in the low 40s.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Meet the toughest team in the game. Bad Boy Mowers and Bad Boy Tractors. These powerhouses will do whatever it takes to win. Putting in the work with unrivaled engineering. Game-changing features like heated seats and an Alpine entertainment system. Plus durable implements and style that's in a league of its own. Bad Boy Mowers and Tractors. Power, performance, attitude.
Bring your new kitchen to life with help from the Kitchen, Bath, and Flooring Division by Hammond Lumber Company. Bring in your ideas or get inspired by Hammond's extensive showroom displays. Your Hammond sales rep will help you create a materials list and cost estimate, and Hammond's designers will help you visualize your space before the work begins. And Hammond delivers from 34 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Your new kitchen begins when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company, your building project partner.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
Where every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
You had me a trash panda. That was gangster.
It pays to choose wisely.
Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust, we get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
It's an annual Blaine House tradition. Governor Janet Mills tapped the maple tree at the Blaine House yesterday, just weeks ahead of the annual Maine Maple Sunday weekend. Maine Maple Sunday is the state's annual celebration of an industry estimated to generate around $55 million in economic activity. According to Governor Mills, Maine is the 4th leading producer of maple syrup in the country and produces more than 500,000 gallons of maple syrup each year. However, she says there's still much that can be done to help grow the industry.
Maine Maple Producers Association is committed to advancing education, technology, friendship, and the promotion of maple products within today's maple industry, while supporting its members with tools and opportunities to produce and market pure Maine maple syrup in Maine, nationally and internationally.
The governor encourages families to take part in the 43rd Maine Maple Sunday weekend on March 21st and March 22nd. Sugar houses will be open statewide for visitors to meet producers, enjoy candy, sampling syrup, and much more. Police officers in California sprang into action after getting an unusual call, helping a beloved family pet in a time of need. Anaheim patrol officers responded to a public assist call about a dog whose jaw was stuck in a crate. The dog's owners were unsuccessful in trying to free him and made the 911 call in distress. Footage shows officers arriving to the home and coming face to face with a pup named Jax, who was bleeding and crying in pain. Video shows officers using bolt cutters to carefully pull apart the crate, freeing the dog in moments. And according to police, Jax is now doing well and is very safe. Well, dolphins were seen in the East River in New York on Tuesday morning. The Randall's Island Park Alliance shared the video on social media. Footage shows a small group of short-beaked common dolphins swimming and jumping out of the water in the river near Randall's Island. Officials say although this is not a rare occurrence, dolphins usually don't come out this early in the year. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, a quick Google search revealed his net worth to be quite depressing. It's John Barinholtz.